Hi, I'm Lydia. I am a full-time pet sitter in Australia and I've been using Trusted House Sitters for the last 2 years. This video is about whether or not I think it's still worth it to join in 2023. So if that sounds interesting to you, keep on watching. So what is pet sitting? It's essentially where the pet owner wants to go away on holidays and they can't take the pet with them. So rather than put the pet into a kennel or a cattery, for example, which can be really expensive but also very stressful for the pet, they'd rather have someone come into the home. So there's minimal disturbance to the pet's routine, which obviously puts the pet owner at ease while they're trying to enjoy their holiday, that their pet is completely fine and in fact happier than ever. As well as looking after the pet in the home, you will be looking after the home. So this is an added bonus for homeowners, knowing that their home is secure, there's someone in it. You know, I think a lot of us feel stressed when we go away on holidays, knowing that we've left a dark, empty house. It feels like a sitting target for theft or robbery. So in this case, they know the house will be lived in, it'll be secure. On top of that, the pet sitter will be collecting mail, putting the bins in and out, and keeping the place clean and tidy. So basically, as a pet sitter, you'll need to go onto Trusted House Sitters and create a profile for yourself. And this is really your opportunity to make yourself seem appealing. If you have any photos of you with pets, for example, is going to make your profile look really strong. And then a really strong bio about yourself, your history with getting to know pets, spending time with pets. Do you have pets of your own? Basically anything you can say that's going to put them at ease, that you know what you're doing. And then aside from that, that you're a good person, so that you are reliable, that you're trustworthy. And if you have examples of that, that would be even better. As far as looking for a sit, this is one of the funnest sides of the platform for me. You can type in any city in any country and just see what's available. Obviously, there's going to be more sits in some countries and locations than others. And sometimes there's 0 sits depending on the country. So it's good to familiarize yourself with the platform first before maybe you join. Have a look if you've got some travel coming up, or if you're planning to do this in your own city. Just see if the app is popular where you are before you get started. So once you've found a sit that looks good to you, you're going to apply. So I like to sometimes have something pre-written for applications that might be competitive. Sydney's a good example of this. I have hesitated to apply in the past because maybe I've been at the gym or something and I think, okay, I'm going to do this in an hour when I get home, only to find within an hour the ad's already been taken down because someone applied and got approved within the hour. So if you are applying for sits in competitive areas, I would usually have something drafted up in my notes which says, hello, my name is Lydia, blah, blah, blah. So that you can apply really quickly, just sort of changing the name of the owner, the name of the pet, the dates. I don't want this to seem like a really impersonal way to do it. It's only because time is of the essence, depending on where you're applying. And typically you're going to write the same thing every time anyway. Just make sure you've got the names of the owner and the pets correct and the dates. Otherwise, you're probably going to miss out on that opportunity purely by coming across as very impersonal. So I have sort of found with pet sitting that it's kind of first come, first served in a good way. I find that people are pretty respectful if you are one of the first ones to apply. And I've been on the good and the bad side of this, but I do think it's quite an ethical way to run things. Assuming, of course, like if the first person who applies seems really inappropriate, they're not going to choose that person just out of obligation because they applied first. They're looking for the perfect person for the sit. But if someone suitable applies first and then I apply second or third, usually I'll get an email saying, we're so sorry, your profile looks really good. We would have been interested, but we're already in talks with this person who applied before you. And if that falls through, we'll let you know, and we'll also keep you in mind for future sits. Also, I think sometimes people just take the ad down if there's an overwhelming response and they want to stop receiving applications. So there has been instances sometimes where I got discouraged thinking, oh, the ad's been taken down, they've clearly chosen someone else. And then I'll literally get a message later that day or even the next day because they've been combing through the applications just trying to get their head around it. So in the instance that they do choose you, usually they would like to have a phone call. They want to hear your voice and just make sure you are who you say you are and that you seem trustworthy and like someone that they can trust in their home alone. And then from the phone call usually stems a meet and greet. And the meet and greet is not as much to meet the owner, I don't think. It's really to meet the pet. and the owner is kind of watching you with their pet, they really want to assess whether or not they trust you with their pet, which is the biggest deal. I think it's as big of a deal as trusting you in their home. For some people, their pets are like their children, so they really want to be resting assured that you are the perfect person for the job. The meetup is also an important moment for the pet sitter, because this is your chance to be sure that you want to do the sit. And I've actually never turned down a sit so far, but you should be paying close attention to the expectations of the pet owner. So if the pet owner is asking for a bunch of things that you personally feel, oh, that's a bit much, that's a bit rich to ask me for that, that's probably not going to be a good fit. And that's only the beginning of getting to know them. So if you feel like maybe you're not the right sitter for that homeowner's personality type or, you know, their expectations, then you should probably can it right then, rather than let either of you get too much further ahead. And you can actually avoid bothering to do the meet and greet if you have some questions in the phone call that you might like to ask, to sort of find out straight away if you think you're going to be a good fit for each other, because it's important from both sides that you both feel comfortable and happy with the level of expectation that will be placed on you as the pet sitter. So assuming that everything goes really well at the meet and greet, then you pretty much lock in the dates and look forward to doing the sit. And sometimes you get to cross paths on arrival day, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they'll hide a key for you, sometimes they'll hand over in person, sometimes they'll leave a key for a neighbor. And I like to ask for written instructions as well. It's easy for them to sort of go through things with you in the meet and greet. If you meet and greet at their house, this is where the food is, this is how much. But you really need it in writing, because by the time you get there, you've forgotten everything they said, especially if you're doing other sits beforehand. So you've got a lot of different information about different pets in your mind from past sits. So it's hard to retain really specific information about their upcoming sit. I also like to know, when is bin night? What shall I do with the mail? I really like to know what is the normal routine for the pet, basically. So what do you normally do? What time do you wake up? What time do they get fed? What time do they go for a walk? Because sometimes you're sitting with a pet, especially dogs, and they sort of look at you a bit antsy. You're like, what's happening? Like, should I have fed you already? Should we have been on our walk already? It's just very helpful to know what the normal routine is. And I think that's really good for providing what the pet owner is looking for, which is minimal disturbance to normal routine, hopefully leading to a happier dog. I also like to find out how much or little communication the pet owner would like, because this varies greatly. And I think it's a really important part of what you're offering. You don't want to let them down, either by pestering them too much if they want to be left alone, or not contacting them enough and they actually really would like to hear from you every day or twice a day. So it's really good to get that expectation clear and make sure that you're doing what they want. At the end of the sit, there is a lot of cleaning, unless they have a cleaner. Sometimes they do. I think an important characteristic of a good pet sitter is being house proud and half decent at cleaning. Ideally very decent at cleaning. It's really nice when you finish a sit, and often you don't cross over on the last day. It's really nice to get feedback. Wow, Lydia, the house was beautifully clean, and I can't believe you put fresh sheets on the bed, and that was so thoughtful, you didn't have to do that. Generally, they really just want to see that the pet is alive and well, and they're so thankful for that. But if you can go above and beyond with the cleaning and how you leave the home, I think that is also a big factor towards getting booked again. Then the final thing, wrapping up the end of the sit, I like to leave a handwritten card, and in the past I might have left some wine or some chocolate. But what I'm thinking now, it's still sort of in the works. I would really like to maybe bake some cookies or a slice on the last day of the sit, so that it's fresh when they get home. I think this is very thoughtful, very kind. It's a nice gesture. It'll make the house smell good, depending how many hours between you leaving and them arriving. And also, I think with the right recipe, it doesn't have to cost too much. But yeah, I think it's a really nice gesture to leave something. It doesn't have to be wine, chocolates, or fresh baked cookies. I think a handwritten note is the least you could do, and once again goes a long way to being a thoughtful touch to hopefully get you booked again. So that's roughly how it works. Now I'm just going to go through a few of the pros and cons of the platform. So starting off with pros, sorry if I glance down, my laptop's down here. And also I've been wondering the whole time if I'm centered in this shot or if I'm not in the middle. But this is my first time shooting a video with the camera around the other way, so I can't see myself. So it's a mystery. So anyone that's a bit OCD and I'm not in the center, I apologize. Okay, the first and most obvious pro is free accommodation. I like to put free in asterisks because it's not free. You're providing a really important service for them. It's really a fair exchange, I think, to stay somewhere for free, but to take amazing care of their pets, their house, and sometimes the garden as well. So it's an exchange. I don't think it's free. Number 2 is you can see the world, and this is a specific benefit to trusted house sitters. Like I said, I'm using lots of other apps, and I have made various investigations into finding out if I can use those apps when I travel, and it's a pain in the bum. You usually have to pay another fee, but it's like 20% off, because a lot of the companies I'm using in Australia, they do have affiliates in New Zealand and the UK, for example, but you would have to jump through some hoops to get it switched over. And when you go to New Zealand, then your Australian one stops working. So it's just a bit fiddly. So seeing the world with trusted house sitters is the biggest, best pro, in my opinion, to pay one membership and use the same site around the world. Pro number 3 is obviously amazing pets. It's really, really nice. And I would say to anyone who's feeling a bit nervous about pet sitting and doubting your skills and talents as a pet sitter and meeting different dogs and cats every other week, if you are thinking of doing this full time like me, your confidence builds with every single pet because your experience builds with every single pet. You start to notice patterns, you start to notice similarities with breeds and consistent things that show up, and it just helps you manage the different types of animals you're going to have, which puts you at ease, which helps you in your meet and greets. It's really cool when you go, oh yeah, I looked after a border collie recently, when you're referring to their border collie and you're like, oh, I observed this about them, blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, okay, cool. So she knows what she's doing. The 4th pro would be local knowledge. Most people are really excited to leave you information on the best restaurants around, or some people even say, why don't you come one night early and stay with us while we're still here? We'll take you out to dinner. We'll show you around, or feel free to hang around for a night when we get back and we can have dinner with you. Not everyone is like that, but some people are incredibly warm and generous, and it's just very nice. And the other way, sort of the flip side of the coin with local knowledge, is you feel like a local because you're not in a hotel, you're in a house in the suburbs or in the city, and you get to really blend in with the locals. And that's a nice feeling, you know, not standing out as a tourist. You feel like you're part of the city or the town that you're visiting. Okay, one final thing in the pro column, it's a little bit strange to put it here, but I didn't know where else to put it. It's more saying that this would be a pro for you. I'm not really saying as well. I think it's a pro if you work from home, because I've had multiple pet owners say to me, oh, I'm really happy that you're going to be home with the dogs most of the day. I guess some people do this and then they go to the office from 9 to 5. I don't really know how that works, but I think if you're either retired, that's like A+, that's the dream. You're fully available with the pets, or working from home. I think that is an asset to your profile. Okay, before I move on to the cons, if you're finding this video helpful, would you please consider giving it a thumbs up? It really helps me out and I appreciate it a lot. Okay, so the first con on the list is being treated like the help. This is pretty rare, and I think it's a personality thing too. Maybe when I felt like I'd been treated like the help, that was just me taking something personally. Maybe you wouldn't have felt the same way. But some people can just be slightly dismissive of you and with very high expectations, and not very warm and not very welcoming. And, you know, everyone's different. But for me, after doing a sit once for someone like that and they tried to book me again, I'll generally decline, because I just didn't feel very happy dealing with them. I felt slightly uncomfortable actually, but that's pretty rare. And like I said, it could be a personality thing. Maybe it was just me, maybe you wouldn't notice that, but it can happen, I guess, depending on who you're speaking to. So just something to be aware of. Second con would be naughty pets. I really haven't had naughty pets yet, but I would just encourage you to once again pay close attention at the meet and greet. That is your chance to suss out if you think not only that you can handle this pet, but that you will enjoy your time with it, because you should enjoy your time, and the pet will have a better time if you're enjoying yourself. So pay close attention. The third con is having to reject repeat bookings with people you love. And it really sucks. It's weird because when you think about it, every time you do a new sit, that could be the pet owner's first time meeting you, but for you, it's your 20th or 30th client. So every time you do one, if it goes well, you have added another client to your list, but you're the only person on their list. So often people reach out, they're like, oh, Lydia, are you free in April or something? And I'm like, no, I'm not. And it's horrible. And I don't want them to think I'm lying. Of course I'm not lying, but it's really sad if you can't help out people again once you've bonded with their pets, bonded with them, had an amazing time. It just kind of sucks. So it's barely a con. It's just like this thing to be aware of, and it can't be helped, but it's a bit of a downer when you have to say no to repeat sits with people that you love. Another con is the website or the app can be a little bit clunky. It's mainly with the messaging. It's not the end of the world. I find that I open a message and it still shows as unread. But I don't think I've really missed any messages. You should be getting email notifications that you've received a new message, and I think replying in a timely manner will help you to not miss bookings. But other than that, the website's pretty impressive, all things considered. And lastly, just to be aware of the huge responsibility that you are undertaking. Sometimes I just have a moment, I'm like, wow, I better not lose this dog or let anything bad happen to it. With dogs especially, because you're out and about on walks, in parks, a lot of people want you to take their dog off lead because that's what they normally do. And it can be scary. Maybe you feel like you haven't bonded really with the dog yet. You're wondering if it's going to respond if you call out and ask it to come back. Yeah, there's been moments where I just suddenly think, wow, I've got a huge responsibility in my hands. It's the same thing with the house. Sometimes I go to bed and I'm like, did I turn the stove off? You know, and I have to go and check because it's important. I can't let anything bad happen to the house. Obviously accidents happen here and there, and the best policy is to just be honest. If you've broken a glass, if you've stained something like that, just be honest. I've never had anyone be like, oh, that's unacceptable. Usually people are really, really good, but it's a huge responsibility for the pet and the house. So ideally you should be a responsible individual who takes the responsibility seriously and is honest and house proud, clean and tidy and caring. I don't think just anyone can do this. I think anyone can do this badly, but if you want to do it well, those are some of the qualities you should have. So do I think it's worth it to join Trusted House Sitters in 2023? Absolutely. As you can see, I'm raving about the platform, and it's the only one you can travel around the world with. I think that is so, so cool. They have a few different membership options. You should read closely what's available in each tier. What is the difference between the membership options? Does the insurance level change, for example? I think I'm on the basic one at the moment because when I joined I was poor, but now I think maybe I should upgrade. I'll look back into that myself, but I don't want to give too much advice on that. I think you should read it for yourself and make your own decision. There is a referral link available for existing members. So once you're a member, you can give your referral link to a friend or family that's joining. They will get 25% off their first year's membership and you will get 2 months free. So it's actually a really generous referral system. Like I said, I'm on some other sites and they're nowhere near that generous. I'll put my referral link in the description box because I'd be mad not to. And if anyone does use it, please let me know in the comments so I can say thank you. And yeah, I hope you did find this video helpful. If you have any questions, if I missed anything, if I didn't cover something, please comment those below. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And yeah, I hope that this video encourages you to begin your pet sitting journey. and I rate it highly. I'm having the time of my life, and I'm just doing it in my own city, so you can only imagine how much fun I'm going to have when I can do this overseas. So don't hold back, make a profile, make it amazing, and I might see you out there. Bye.